So we're going to talk about the inspection process here. And again, like I said, I know you aren't the inspectors, but there's important things that I think as salespeople, you need to know. So we're going to start the inspection by pulling the car into the bay, and we're going to check lights. How many of you are checking lights? Headlights, tail lights. I got a real pet peeve about not being the professionals in our business. I remember years ago, something that bit me in the butt when I ran a store, and I would never let it happen again. I started thinking about how it looks to customers, our professionalism. I put a brand new set of tires on a customer's car, and 2 miles down the road, one of those tires went flat. Turns out my tire installer ripped the valve stem as he pulled a new one through. Valve stem leaked, tire went flat. Customer got in the trunk of the car, the spare was flat. What does that make me look like? As a tire professional, taking care of customers' cars, I can't make sure that their spare has air. That's horrible. So let's relate that to the lights. They were doing like $1,200 worth of brake work for this guy's service truck. I took the franchisee to lunch, and as we're coming back, the service truck's done. He's leaving. He pulls out into the 5th lane. I pull in behind him and then turn left to get into the shop parking lot. And the franchisee noticed, as well as I, that the rear brake lights were not working. We just did $1,200 for the brakes, and the brake lights are. What do you think he's going to think when he gets pulled over? What do you think he's going to think when he goes to the bar and then gets pulled over? We got to be checking lights. I know there's not a lot of money in them. I know it's incremental. But if you're anything like me, years ago when I ran a store, I was bonus on budget. If I missed my budget, I would torture myself by taking how much I missed my budget by and dividing it by the work days for that month, and finding that all I needed was a bearing pack each day, and I hit my budget. And I made my bonus. Lights are incremental, but they could help you get to a bonus. So more than the money, let's just be the professionals. I mean, even if you don't get the sale, at least you notify a customer that you got a light out. That goes a long way. We're just being the professionals. So now we pop the hood, check the wiper blades if we don't see them already on the work order, or we don't see them in the inspection form that they've already been looked at. Lift the hood, inspect the belts, hoses, air filter, cabin air filter if it's easy to get to. If it's a pain in the butt, just let the OMM, the scheduled maintenance sell. Because every car out there is cabin air filter gets changed in what? Who knows? 15,000 miles. You can see it. Pull up scheduled maintenance. You'll see every car that has a cabin air filter is 15,000 miles. Now, if you can pull it out, it's always fun going to a customer and showing them a really dirty one and a clean one and go, which one would you rather breed? That's an easy sell. But again, I don't want to spend a lot of time digging one of those things out if I don't have to, especially if the mileage interval is. So, how many of y'all testing batteries? Every car testing batteries. If you're not, talk about building tickets, man. You know, back in my day, right after the whole horse and buggy went away, batteries were 60, 70, $80. Nowadays, they're 4 or 5 times that. You could double the average ROI with a battery. And when it's hot, batteries fail. When it's cold, batteries fail. We should be testing every car. Okay, now we're going to lift the car. We're going to grab the tires at 9 and 3, and then we're going to grab them at 12 and 6. What are we doing?
We're checking the suspension components.
We're shaking it down, right? We're checking for steering linkage, loose steering linkage. We're looking for bearings. We're looking for suspension components, loose ball joints, things like that, right? Anything that allows us to tell the customer we've got need for further inspection. When we're done with that, we're going to do a process called chop pump. Who knows what chop pump is? Anybody ever heard that? So we're going to lift the car all the way up. We're done doing all this shaking. We're going to lift it all the way up. We're going to walk underneath this vehicle. We're going to take a piece of chalk. We're going to start at the left front tire. Everything starts at the left front. And we're going to draw a line across the tread. That's our beginning and ending line. We're going to roll that tire around until we come back to our line. And you're circling any objects that are in the tire. You're circling any kind of unusual wear or anything that I might want to point out to the customer. At the end, when I'm all done and I'm bringing a customer out to show them their car, if these tires have some issues, I want those issues standing out like red flags when customers come walking out and they go, what's wrong with my tires? So I will caution you right now. If you are perfectly happy selling however many tires you're selling today, and you don't want to sell any more than what you're selling today, don't do that. Don't do chop top. Because I guarantee you that will move rubber. It works. Anybody that's ever done, I guarantee if you have every technician in your shop doing a chop top program, you will move more tires. It's gonna happen. So do it with caution. So now we're done with that. We'll lower it back down. And by the way, look at the date codes. Any tires older than 6 years, we should be having conversations with customers about getting those off the car. Remove the tires to inspect the brakes. Now, if this is a general inspection, because we're doing an oil change or rotating tires or whatever, use the tri-color gauge, just do a quick inspection. If this is a brake inspection, we pull that sucker apart. When I was a technician, I was paid 20% commission. I pulled calipers off. I pulled brake pads out so I can measure the very thinnest part, because sometimes they don't wear evenly. I pulled boots back on wheel cylinders. I pulled the master cylinder away from the booster, looking for wetness. I measured with a millimeter ruler and went to one of the guides, whether it's a Rebescus book, Wagner book, all data, because the yellow tricolor gauge is caution and it's 4 millimeters. There are many manufacturers that if you actually look at the specs, 4 millimeters is the minimum specification. We could be talking to customers about the fact that they need or are required to replace their brakes at 4 millimeters. So again, if it's a brake inspection, pull that sucker apart. Inspect the shocks and struts for bent, broken, or leaking. You're not going to see leaking very often anymore. Those of us that have been around a while, we used to sell shocks all the time because they were leaking. But somebody invented a new seal that every shock manufacturer uses these days, and shocks and struts just don't leak like they used to. So it's very hard to sell shocks and struts these days. Just have a conversation with a customer if your car's got 50,000 miles. Just have a conversation. Dennis, I know you got 66,000 miles in your car. Have you ever replaced your shocks or struts? No, I haven't. But with every mile that you drive, your shocks and your struts wear. It happens over such a long period of time, you don't notice the change in your ride. But I guarantee if I put a new set of struts on there for you, you'd notice the difference. Not only would you notice the difference, but it would handle again like it did when it was new. And what I had in my back pocket then, and I urge you to talk to your parts houses today, Monroe offered a 30-day ride guarantee. Don't know if they still do. Does anybody know? Yes. Okay. If they do, man, I used to tell a customer, look, let me put a new set of struts on for you. And within the first 30 days, if you don't like them, I'll put your old struts in the trunk of your car. And if you don't like the ride, within the first 30 days, you come back, I'll put your old stuff back on, and I'll refund you. Or we'll find you something else. You know how many times I had to refund money or find something else for a customer? And I sold a lot of them. Most of the time, a customer would say, don't put that junk. You're that confident, most of the customers would like. So Chuck admitted that selling struts is not something that happens immediately. His strut growth didn't happen real quick. They started having those conversations, and what he told me was, Daryl, selling struts and shocks is kind of like farming, right? You're sowing a seed that you will reap at a later date. He's got customers coming back 3 weeks, a month later, saying, hey, you recommended struts on my vehicle. By the way, customers will buy 85% of the time they will buy from the person that made the recommendation. So if it was your shop and not somebody else's, 5% of the time they're coming back to you. So he's got customers walking back in saying, you guys recommended struts, so you guys get that done for. His average before he sold his store recently was over 300. Just having a conversation. So think about that if you want to move some bump sticks, as we used to call them back in the day. So the inspection's done. They need to, the inspectors, whoever they are, they need to get that inspection into salespeople or get it into a designated area. However you guys have that working. And now they can go out and get to work. do not let them inspect the car while they're working on it. They should not be draining the oil and doing the inspection at the same time. Because what inevitably happens is they both get done at the same time and you're not gonna close the sale. Get the inspection done, turn it in, now go drop the drain plug. Now go get started on the tires. We work by the quarter time rule. Who could tell me what the quarter time rule is? Nobody knows the quarter time rule? The inspection needs to be done within a quarter time of the allotted time we have a vehicle. So if we've got the car for an hour, how much time we got for that inspection? 15 minutes. If we've got the car for 4 hours, how many times for that inspection? 1 hour. Quarter time rule. The quicker we get the inspection back, the better you guys as salespeople, sales ladies, the better chance you have of showing and selling and closing a sale. So now we got to verify the inspection results. As salespeople, that's your job. Get out there and look, because what you see paints a better picture, especially if you have to call a customer and talk about recommendation, right? What you see paints a better picture. It's easier to talk to the customer about. So let's get out and check the inspection result. Not just because I want to see what they recommended. Sometimes I want to see what they didn't recommend. Again, for those of you who've been in this business a long time, you probably have seen mechanics, technicians. In fact, we nickname some technicians like tie rod, tone, ball joint Bob, because that's all they want to sell. They recommend that stuff all day long, but they don't recommend the control arm bushings that are falling out of car. Because they don't want to mess with control arms. Sorry, that's not the way we work. We find everything. We say, we fix the sale to the customer, and we fix whatever we need to fix. So, making sure we don't have those that specialize. We specialize in everything, right? So we build a sub-estimate. We make sure that the customer's initial concern is addressed first. How many of you have ever done work on a car and it still does what the customer came in for in the beginning? They're not very happy, are they? So we have to make sure. I used to tell my technicians when they brought me a work order or an inspection, and we started going out and taking a look, I said, the first thing I want you to show me is what's going to fix their problem. What they come in for, that's the first thing I want to see. Because that's the first thing, and if that needs to be the only thing we fix, then that's the case. But we've got to fix what they came in for. The customer spends $3,000 and you fix their problem, they're probably happy. But if they spend $50 and you didn't fix what they came in for, they ain't happy. So let's make sure that we fix what they came in for. Cover the inspection results, talk to them about the owner's manual maintenance stuff. We build the work order. Don't be afraid to tell them everything that's wrong with the car. If you didn't break it, you're just letting them know what's going on with the car, right? I used to hear the term, don't sell with your own wallet. Just because you might not spend the money on that doesn't mean they won't. Give them the opportunity to buy everything. If they need to break it down, I can't afford all that today. What's most important? So you break it down by the initial concern, and then the safety related items, and then we drop to immediate needs, preventive maintenance, and performance improvement. Okay? Introduce the customer to the technician. This is all on you if you want to, if you don't. I will tell you that some stores have technicians that they don't mind having that technician from a customer. Many customers will trust the technician before they'll trust, or more than they'll trust the salesperson. So they're the ones working on the car. So if you've got that guy that he presents himself well, he speaks well, then it's okay. Introduce that person to your customer. Maybe the technician can walk them around and show them everything that's wrong, and then you'll take over and give them the pricing or something like that. But we also know that many of us have those technicians that we want kept way back in the dark crevices. You only come out when it's lunchtime and I'll feed you. Right? So just make sure you know who you got and who you'd rather have in front of customers. Show and sell, take customers out to the cars. The best place to show them what needs to be done, right? Just selling off a work order doesn't, again, paint a picture like actually seeing a big old hole in a CD booth or something like that. Just make sure it's a safe environment. Make sure there's nothing they're going to step over, nothing they're going to slip in. If you want to hand them some safety glasses, hand them safety glasses. I've seen some stores that have a box of them right by the door. So as they walk out, they have to take.
So walk through the whole change bay.
Don't walk through the old safety bay, that's a good point. Yeah, wanna make sure nobody's slipping, okay? And then, of course, we can always offer financing. We're talking about major services and stuff like that. Hey, great news. Nothing out of pocket today, and you can stretch this over 6 months.